In Peru, police officers assaulted demonstrators and journalists standing outside Grau Hospital. In Argentina, President Alberto Fernandez and German Chancellor Olaf Scholz reviewed different topics on their common agenda. And in Russia, the foreign ministry accused Kiev of committing war crimes after several Ukrainian bombings on health centers in Lugansk and Kherson. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the TeleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. In Peru, security forces repressed people accompanying the wounded who were admitted to the hospital. Witnesses reported that the Peruvian police struck demonstrators at Grau Hospital's doors and assaulted journalists who were reporting from the place. After those violent actions, demonstrators decided to hold a sit-in and vigil for Victor Santiesteban.
We, as alternative press journalists, were broadcasting live outside the Grau Emergency Hospital, and we were waiting for information about the injured. Then a police command arrived and simply overwhelmed the people who were here as peacefully as they are now. They began to beat and corner many women. We were transmitting live at that moment. The police saw we were recording all these human rights violations, including the arrest of a young man. We followed them to see where they were taking that young man who appeared to be a minor and was in fact 17 years old. The officers surrounded us. They surrounded me, they beat me, they hit me. I have bruised lip. My lip is hurt. They even threw me on the ground.
In Peru, a young demonstrator was shot in the head and killed on Saturday night. This is the first death in the country's capital since the beginning of the crisis. Peruvian Ombudsman's office confirmed the homicide. The victim was identified as Victor Santiesteban. Through a communique, the Ministry of the Interior attributed the death to a contusive cut wound behind the ear as a result of a blow. Other versions assured that a tear gas bomb was responsible for it. Another person is also reported seriously wounded. Counting this one, there have been 65 deaths already during the protests since the beginning of the de facto government of Dina Boluarte. In Argentina, President Alberto Fernandez met with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz. During the meeting, Fernandez and Scholz discussed bilateral trade issues, the flow of investments and project financing. The leaders agreed on the intention to strengthen cooperation in energy matters with a focus on environmental protection. German Chancellor visits Latin America, including Argentina, Brazil, and Chile.
Argentina wants to become a reliable supplier of gas and energy. We are also talking about lithium. We are also talking about green hydrogen. All of this requires investments. As you have said, Germany is the first investor of the European Union in Argentina. So we want them to continue investing, to continue trusting us, to continue developing our business projects, to continue being successful as they are, and that we can promote all the potential that Argentina has in terms of energy and food.
German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, during a press conference, affirmed his country's intention to become a partner of Argentina to benefit the economic growth of both nations.
The possibilities that we have to take advantage of liquefied gas. There are many very important issues for the future, and also the extraction of important resources such as lithium are part of this. And for us, it is also important to do it in a way that is beneficial for the economic growth of both countries, that it is not something unilateral, and that it is carried out in a cooperative way. This is the perspective we are pursuing. This is also the intention of the Argentine government, that this is achieved. That is why I can say that there are many investments planned for the future, and the delegation has come with this spirit. But it goes beyond the companies that are with us today. There are large parts of of the German economy that have great interest in becoming partners in these areas.
The president of Brazil, Luis Inácio Lula da Silva, met the country's 27 governors this Friday, and together they agreed to create a new council to define a common agenda of priorities for each region. A document published after the meeting, called the Letter from Brasilia, expressed the commitment to defending democracy in Brazil, which they consider a non-negotiable value, considering that only through dialogue can economic growth be prioritized while reducing inequalities. The document also mentions the creation of the Federal Council, made up of representatives of the Union, the states, and the local authorities, with the aim of establishing a permanent agenda for dialogue on issues that have been identified by the federal authorities among their priorities. According to the document, all efforts will be guided by this agenda, which will focus on overcoming unemployment, inflation, hunger, and poverty. The United Nations Children's Fund estimated that some 2.6 million children and teenagers in Haiti will need immediate humanitarian aid by 2023 due to the violent crisis that is sweeping the country. The number of Haitian children in need of humanitarian assistance increased by 500,000 in the last 2 years because of the increase in armed violence, cholera outbreak, food insecurity, and inflation restricted their access to basic services, according to UNICEF. In this regard, Gary Conneell, Director for Latin America and the Caribbean of that organization, said that this is one of the most difficult times to be a child or teenager in Haiti since the earthquake of 2010. Let's take a short break, but first remember you can follow us on TikTok at the account at TeleSUR English, in which you'll be able to see news in different formats, news updates, and much more. All the stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back from the south. Moscow has branded Ukraine's bombing of hospitals as war crimes after the attack on a health center left at least 14 dead and 24 wounded. On Sunday, the Russian foreign minister declared that the attacks of the Ukrainian troops on medical centers in the cities of Novoudair and New Kakhovka represent war crimes. They added that the deliberate shelling of civilian medical facilities as well as the intentional killing of civilians are serious war crimes of the Kiev regime and its Western puppeteers. The day before Kiev shelled the hospital in New Kakhovka, a town located in the Kherson region, and attacked the hospital in Novoudair of Lugansk with HIMARS systems, killing 14 people. The Russian Ministry of Defense reported on Saturday that at least 14 people had been killed by Ukrainian shelling of a hospital building in the village of Novoudair, located in the Lugansk region. According to Ukraine's authorities, troops deliberately fired on the area with the US-made HIMARS multiple rocket launcher system. They also said that among the dead were patients and medical staff. At least 24 people were seriously wounded. They have been taken to medical centers where they are receiving the necessary medical treatment. The Russian Defense Ministry said that all those involved in planning and carrying out this crime will be found and held accountable, recalling that this is clearly considered a serious war crime by the Kiev regime. The Russian government urged all those involved in the situation around the Korean Peninsula to avoid an open nuclear clash in Northeast Asia. Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov recommended creating a peacekeeping system based on the principles of equality, sequencing, and synchronicity to solve the Korean Peninsula's numerous problems, including the nuclear ones. The official noted Russia is ready for dialogue and open to constructive contacts with all interested parties based on joint initiatives with China, a roadmap, and an action plan for a comprehensive solution. Regarding the hypothetical recognition of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea's nuclear status, Ryabkov said that Russia remains fully committed to the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty signed in 1950. In the Czech Republic, retired North Atlantic Treaty Organization General Pete Pavel won the presidential runoff election against former Prime Minister Andrej Babis. According to the Czech Republic's Statistics Office, after 85% of the votes were counted, Pavel obtained 56.76% of the votes, while Babis obtained 43.23%. Pavel will replace Milos Zeman, whose second and last term will end at the beginning of March. The turnout on election day was exceptionally high, 70%, in a country with a parliamentary regime in which the head of state has an essentially ceremonial role. In the Czech Republic, they vote for the president in a direct election, and that person may serve a maximum of 2 consecutive 5-year terms. Azerbaijani and Egyptian presidents met face-to-face in Baku after an official welcoming ceremony at the presidential palace in the capital. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi held talks with his Azerbaijani counterpart Ilham Aliyev. Following the expanded meeting, the two leaders held a document signing ceremony in joint efforts to boost trade and economic cooperation between the two countries. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah also met with Azerbaijani First Deputy Prime Minister Yakov Eyyubov, Deputy Foreign Minister Faris Rezaev, and other officials. The Spanish People's Party called on its people to go to the polls to assess the performance of the government led by Pedro Sánchez. The general coordinator of the Popular Party, Elias Bendodo, said that the government was insisting on a legislature without rules and called on the people of Spain to look for a revolution of moderation in the figure of the Popular Party's president, Alberto Núñez Feijóo. According to Bendodo, Núñez Feijóo's values are different from those of Sánchez because they are based on humility as opposed to arrogance, solvency as opposed to improvisation, and moderation as opposed to a radical government. The next elections will be a general election because they will debate Sanchez's policies such as the abolition of the crime of sedition or the law of solocy, etc. We have more news coming up after a final short break, so don't go away. Welcome back from the south. Chilean authorities raised the alert level around the Lascar volcano from yellow to orange. Seismic activity has increased. According to the National Civil Protection Agency, an increase in the dynamics of the liquids inside the volcanic system has been detected. The agency warned of possible eruptive pulses with plumes over 5 kilometers high. In this sense, it decided to extend the safety zone to 10 kilometers around the crater to avoid tourist and grazing activities. Located 70 kilometers from the town of San Pedro de Atacama in the northern region of Antofagasta, the Lascar volcano at 5,592 meters above sea level is the most active volcano in northern Chile. In Russia, the regional division of the Ministry of Emergency reported a 3,000-meter high ash cloud generated by the Ebeko volcano located in the Kuril archipelago in the eastern part of the country. According to a press release issued by the entity on Saturday, the smoke plumes have extended 5 kilometers to the north. The text also detailed that there was no ashfall, nor was there any smell of hydrogen sulfide, and that there is no danger for the local population. The Ebeko volcano is located on the island of Paramushir and is one of the most active volcanoes in the Kuril Islands. Its last eruption was recorded in 2012, followed by a period of calm until October 2016. Ebeko's record emissions were registered on August 31, 2018, with a plume of up to 6,000 meters in altitude. In Japan, nearly 10,000 households in Ishikawa Prefecture remain without water as a result of the cold wave. According to local media, the water supply has been affected after intense cold temperatures caused many pipe bursts and leaks. Authorities in the city of Wajima requested help from the army to distribute water since the council is not able to assist those in need on its own. Given the situation, some districts have installed drinking water distribution points. This week, temperatures in most parts of Japan remain below the usual average, and it has even snowed in the southern areas. More than 160 people died in Afghanistan following a cold snap that hit the country. The Disaster Management Ministry said on Saturday the death toll rose to 88 last week, bringing the total to 166. according to data from the 34 provinces that make up the country. Ministry officials said the deaths were caused by floods, fires, and gas leaks from stoves families used to heat homes. Since January 10th, Afghanistan has faced snowfall, freezing storms, and power outages, with temperatures as low as minus 33 degrees Celsius. These extreme weather conditions are exacerbating the situation in the country, where more than half of the 38 million people are facing food shortages and nearly 4 million children are suffering from malnutrition. In Burkina Faso, armed men attacked the town of Dassa, leaving at least 10 people killed. According to local media, two separate groups attacked two neighborhoods in Dassa, 140 kilometers west of the capital, Ouagadougou. Following a military coup in 2015, the security situation in Burkina Faso has deteriorated. Since then, several countries and international organizations have described the country as a failed state, as it has suffered a series of similar situations. Ethiopian authorities said the number of citizens repatriated from Saudi Arabia has reached more than 35,200 as of November 2022. According to the Ethiopian Ministry of Women and Social Affairs, from November 21, 2022 to date, 35,249 expatriates have returned to their homeland in an organized and safe manner. In the last 3 flights carried out on Friday 27th, 1,173 people returned, a group made up of 1,135 men and 5 women, in addition to 33 children and teenagers. According to the official text, the repatriation program will continue and people will be accommodated in improvised shelters where they will have to comply with the established health protocols before starting the process of social reintegration. We have come to the end of this news brief, and you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.